The Australian Army accepts apprentices to the trades of motor mechanic, carpenter and joiner, plumber and gas fitter, electrical fitter and electrical mechanic, fitter and turner, and electronics tradesman.
Fix up the position of the hands, fingers together, thumb in the left hand running up the woodwork. Magazines pointing straight to the front. Order! Out!
Army apprentices not only become top tradesmen, they also become soldiers.
Let's first understand exactly what tradesmanship means. Tradesmanship is a combination of theory. That's technical knowledge plus the ability to use that knowledge with the skill of your hands. During your apprenticeship, you'll be taught everything about your trade, theory and practical. You'll be a fully qualified Army and civilian tradesman.
You might know a bit about cars, how engines work and that kind of thing, but till you start in the trade, you've really no idea how much there is to know.
Some instructors at the Army Apprentices School are Army tradesmen. Some are civilian tradesmen. That goes for all the trades taught here. For instance, a civilian is instructing on diesel engines here. Over in the next bay, there's an Army sergeant instructor teaching petrol engines. Civilian motor mechanics are tending towards specialisation in one aspect of the trade. But Army apprentices are taught all the skills.
Transmissions, that's clutches, gears and final drives. It's quite hard. You need the theory first, that's for sure. Then they show you the real practical. And you just learn to do it.
This is the hand control valve which is mounted on the steering column.
With motor vehicles, there's a great variety of braking, steering and suspension systems and mechanisms. Army apprentice motor mechanics have to understand them all.
Immediate breakaway to the rear of the vehicle.
Auto electrics, that's generators, alternators, starters, ignition, lights, instrumentation and so on. It's a lot of complicated wiring, but there's a quite straightforward approach once you know how.
Studying the theory was hard for me at first, but they show you the study systems. Then, the more you get into the practical, the more sense it all makes. It's good, really.
Perhaps more than anything else, the ability to read drawings distinguishes the tradesman from the non-tradesman. At the Army Apprentices School, related maths and sciences and technical drawing are taught according to trade requirements. Probably everyone knows that carpenters and joiners work with wood, and that there's a lot of woodwork in building construction.
There's a lot more to the trade than that. Just using the right tools and instruments and knowing the proper way to use them. There's a lot in that for a start.
These apprentices are prefabricating a building frame. It's got to be done accurately, but we're not looking for a fine finish. It's all going to be covered in the end anyway. That standard of work comes into the category of carpentry. Joinery, on the other hand, is going to be visible. The timber used is dressed timber. So this kind of work, joinery, has to be perfect.
This is the part I like best, on-site assembly. You're outdoors. You really see something for the work you've done.
I love the smell and feel of timber and using really accurate tools and measurements. We've all got to do carpentry and joinery, but most people like one or the other best.
Today you're going to work out your materials for the plumbing and drainage of the building, of which you all have a drawing. How much polythene pipe, what diameter, how much copper pipe, what fittings, whether they're soldered or screwed, and what plumbing fixtures you will have to supply.
My dad's a plumber, only he wasn't ever in the army. I don't think the plumbing trade's changed as much as all that. We've got some new materials and fittings and new methods of joining pipes, all of which they are teaching us. Otherwise it's the same old plumbing and gas fitting trade.
Some people don't realise that plumbing includes making up and installing guttering and downpipes for buildings. Part of the plumber's trade is the underground supply of mains water. Plumbers and gas fitters also install and maintain storage and distribution facilities for LPG and industrial gases.
Our trade, we do a lot of theory at the Apprentices School. Then it's more heavily weighted to the practical for the 2 years after we move out. That's because there just aren't the big buildings here to work on.
At the Army Apprentices School, the facilities for fitters and turners are first class. In the machine shop, all the relevant machine tools are taught. This includes lathes, milling machines, drills, grinders, and many other machines used in modern industry. Gas and electric welding are taught, not only to fitters and turners, but to the motor mechanics, the plumbers, and the electrical trades too.
Part of the course that was a bit of a surprise to me is sheet metal. Generally it's a separate trade. Sheet metal's sort of like a craft.
The trade of the blacksmith is also a separate trade in civilian life. But Army apprentice fitters and turners include a basis of this skill too. Fitters and turners are working with metal, cutting it, shaping it, heat treating it, whatever. They've got to be able to handle tools and handle them properly. They've got to be able to read drawings correctly. And they've got to be able to measure their work and mark it out with extreme accuracy.
I knew that fitting and turning was metalwork, but the accuracy, down to fractions of a millimetre. But it gets to you, and you just start to think in those terms of accuracy all the time.